Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanna, also known as Jonis la Bella. Today's topic is going to be all about gentle parenting. I'm not a professional. This is just my personal experience and my personal opinion with why I chose to do gentle parenting. So if you clicked on today's video, that means you are looking to know what gentle parenting is. So if you don't want to watch this video, that's totally okay. Let's be nice in the comments. Let's all respectfully listen to each other. It's my opinion and my opinion only. There's a bunch of information out there if you choose to look for it. I do want to let you guys know I'm going to be providing links to all podcasts, to all creators, to other channels, basically to online references. I do have a few notes here that I have made in regards to what I'm going to be talking about today, along with my laptop here to kind of break down all the different names that gentle parenting is known for, just in case you guys want to go ahead and look at it for yourselves and hear the different stuff that I had heard and that basically made up my mind to do this parenting technique. I am a mother of one son. His name is Cairo and he just turned 2. So if you were just to Google what is gentle parenting on the internet, you will run into a couple of articles. One of the first articles that I seen was from Wikipedia. I'm just gonna pop up on the screen what I'm seeing so you can read alongside with me in regards to the definitions that I'm seeing. So for starters, you'll find that gentle parenting does go by different names. It could go by the name of attachment parenting, positive discipline, authoritative parenting, peaceful parenting. Basically, it means gentle parenting. The reason why I'm referring it to gentle parenting is because that is what it was introduced to me as through the TikTok community. That is how I found out about this parenting style. I didn't even know there were so many parenting styles. So for me, I was like, oh, what is gentle parenting? And like the philosophy behind it was really intriguing for me. So if you were to follow along with me on reading the Wikipedia article, it says attachment parenting is a parenting philosophy that proposes methods aiming to promote the attachment of parent and infant, not only by maximal parental empathy and responsiveness, but also by continuous bodily closeness and touch. The term attachment parenting was coined by the American pediatrician William Sears. Down below it, you will see that it kind of goes over the basics. Gentle parenting is an evidence-based approach to raising happy, confident children. This parenting style is composed of 4 main elements: empathy, respect, understanding, and boundaries. And I know boundaries is like a huge thing because I know a lot of people, because it goes by gentle parenting, they always say, well, you're not being a parent and you're not disciplining them. They think that we're not setting boundaries, but in reality, part of the definition and part of the philosophy of gentle parenting or attachment parenting is to set boundaries. But moving along, if you read along with me, down below it says rules, the 8 principles of attachment parenting. To prepare for pregnancy, birth, and parenting: feed with love and respect, respond with sensitivity, use nurturing touch, engage in nighttime parenting, provide constant loving care, practice positive discipline, strive for balance in personal and family life. And notice you will see that it says positive discipline. So that's why sometimes it may be referred to as positive discipline. There's also another section called Pillars of Gentle Parenting. And it states, number one, it's about bonding with your child. Number 2, using autonomy and choice. That's a big one. Number 3, not using punishment as a way to discipline. That's another big one. Number 4, being mindful of the way you use praise. Number 5, allowing kids to be part of the parenting process. So one of the first articles that I actually personally came across when researching about gentle parenting was the Very Well family. They do a really good, dumb it down for you, really broke it down to me, like the different parenting techniques. So that brings me to my next point, what gentle parenting is not. So keyword, not. Gentle parenting is not permissive parenting. It is not authoritarian parenting, which is another big thing that confused me a lot, but the Very Well family article does break that down for you. It is not similar to authoritative parenting. So do look into that article because that breaks it down and kind of distinguishes what that is. Subcategory of authoritarian parenting would be probably like limiters. They're very, very strict. Another key point is that gentle parenting is evidence-based. If you could just highlight that, I would. So basically it's evidence-based. Time after time, it has shown us that it is the best technique. I'm going to provide a snippet of that article that states that time after time, this has shown us that this is the best parenting method. And lastly, what I got from gentle parenting is basically we are not enablers. Gentle parents are not enablers. So that's another key point that I do want to kind of push that out there. I do also want to mention very briefly that I'm going to be making 2 separate videos. One video is going to be all about gentle parenting, which is the one that you're watching today. The second video is going to be all about gentle parenting as a Christian. But if you are interested in watching that video, just stay tuned. I'm going to be uploading that video. The next part of this video is going to be about a podcast that I heard on Pandora. I believe the author is Taryn. It's called The Parenting Thing. I have a few notes. It's basically key points. But if you want to head to the link down below, you can find her podcast and you can listen to it. Taryn does an amazing job in this podcast explaining what gentle parenting is and what gentle parenting is not. This is what I want to strive for. Like, this is what lit that light bulb in my head, and I was like, forget it. Like, everything else, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to even, this is what did it for me. And basically, as mentioned before, I got this technique from TikTok. So basically, it was already in my head, but I was like, I don't know if I really want to practice this. Like, what, I was just looking. I'm the type of person that just keeps searching and searching until they find answers. And I was literally like, okay, I just need a sign that tells me, hey, like, this is what you want to do. This is the way you want to go. So basically, when I landed onto her podcast, I was like, boom, I was already intrigued at that time. This has to brings up really good points about discipline and punishment. So for starters, I'm going to go down what I have here on my notes. With gentle parenting, you follow, change, and correct the behavior. In regards to punishment, you're getting rid of the behavior in that moment. So with gentle parenting, you're basically teaching a child to fish. Versus with punishment, you're giving the child the fish. With that being said, you're teaching a lesson versus making a child pay for what they've done and there's no lesson behind it. With gentle parenting, there's proactive warnings of consequences. Versus with punishment, there's a sudden reaction and no warning whatsoever. This is a huge one. With gentle parenting, there's teaching of emotional control. Versus with punishment, there's a fear-based technique used. With gentle parenting, there's explanations and solutions and behavioral controls. With punishment, they are bad. Something must be wrong with them. So you're teaching your child that they are bad. Like, if you're yelling and you're punishing, you're teaching them that they themselves are a bad person. And mind you, like, this has to deal with a child. Like, you know, they don't have the control that an adult does. You're teaching them that there's something wrong with them, because what is the first thing that people say to their kids? Why'd you do that? What's wrong with you? And like, that registers in their mind, in a child's mind, that there must be something inwardly wrong with them. With gentle parenting, there's a positive sustainability to it. Versus punishment, you tend to not follow through. It is not sustainable. If you reference back to the previous article from Very Well Family, that is what authoritarian parenting can be like, I believe. Basically, it's very hard to follow through. You set rules and regulations, and then if they break them, sometimes you don't follow through, you know. So with gentle parenting, you're teaching humility and remorse, and there's more teachable moments. Versus with punishment, there's no explanation sometimes. You're not explaining to your child what did they do wrong and why they did wrong. Another thing with gentle parenting is that there's a respectful relationship between adult and child, and there's a better self-esteem and better self-worth. Versus with punishment, there tends to be the opposite. Basically, you become very anxious as a child, or you become an anxious adult, or you become a people pleaser, rebellious, low self-worth, low self-esteem. Personally, this hit home for me is with gentle parenting, there's an admission of wrongdoing, an admission of mistake. And it hits home a lot, because this is something that in my childhood, my mom did try to practice, was admitting that the times that she was wrong and admitting the mistakes that she has done. And that's what gentle parenting is. When it is appropriate, you are admitting to wrongdoings, you are admitting to your mistakes, you're owning your feelings, like as a parent. Versus with discipline, it teaches lies, that it's not okay to be wrong or to make mistakes. So that's huge. There's times where we all make mistakes, and with gentle parenting, it kind of opens that conversation and opens that room for mistakes and for admission of wrongdoing. And that is what you need, you know, communication, not basically yelling at somebody, berating somebody because they made a mistake, and then teaching them later in life that they're not allowed to make mistakes. And then that's where all the anxiety and the people pleasing comes in, because they're too afraid to have self-esteem and self-worth. With gentle parenting, it's more of a focus on behavior resulting in resolution, allows room for discussion. Once again, key thing, communication. Versus with punishment, it tends to be more of reactive. So there's no room for communication. Why? Because everybody's heated. There's no way you're gonna talk to somebody, especially within yourself. Like as a parent, how are you gonna communicate to your child when you're like reactive, when you're angry, when you're feeling hot, when you're just like, I'm over this? Like, it's just not a way to communicate. Saying that she said, and I don't know who, I'll put the quote up, but I don't know who said this, but it says, you do what you know until you know better. And that is huge. That is groundbreaking, because it's true. You do what you know until you know better. Like I was thinking, okay, how I'm gonna parent my child. When he was born, I was like, one of the things that me and my husband discussed were like, how are we gonna parent? Like when they're newborns, it's not something that you're rushing into because they're so little and they're so small and they're still babies. We thought about it as the approach to toddlerhood, and we're like, okay, how are we gonna definitely start to like teach, and what are the teachable moments for a toddler? So when your child is a baby, you're not really thinking about it. For me personally, I feel like a child becomes like their own persona, and they have their own attitudes, and they developed into their own self about 9 months. That's when I started seeing the change in my son. I started to see that he was getting more of an attitude, that you could tell that there were certain things that displeased them versus pleased them. So that's when I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I started my parenting techniques then. I started questioning, okay, should I do the traditional parenting that my mom used? Should I try hitting? Should I try, even if it's a light tap, should I try to do all these things? And it's just, it never worked for me, because I felt like I tried it, like, and it wasn't even like, I was like, you know, because you get frustrated as a parent. I'm saying that this technique is very frustrating, because you have to look inward and you have to be calm, and you have to be like, okay, like, what do I need to do in this scenario, and not be so reactive. So I remember trying to like discipline. I think he was like maybe closer to like 11 months, 10 months, I don't remember. And I was like, okay, should I just do the traditional way? Like, because that's all I knew then, because that's what everybody, especially my culture, my Hispanic culture, I was taught that that's what you were supposed to do. And if you don't do that to your kids, then you are failing them as a parent, and you're just allowing them to step all over you. And at the time, I remember just like lightly tapping my son's hands and saying no. And then he just cried so bad. And it wasn't because it hurt. It was more like, he was like, oh my gosh, like, you hit me. I just remember seeing him, and it just broke my heart. And I was like, I can't do that. And I immediately was like, I am so sorry. Like, you know what? Screw that. I was like, I'm not doing that to you. Like, there's no way that I don't see myself. I took a step back, and I was like, I feel like crap. He feels like crap. We all feel like crap. Why would I do this? So I agree with the saying, you do what you know until you know better. And then that's when I started really looking into gentle parenting and taking it very serious. And I was like, hey, I think this sounds really reasonable. I know for sure that within my heart, I don't want to hit my son. I know in my heart that I can't see him cry because of something that I did, or because I blew up in his face, or because I was too reactive. So I knew in my heart, I was like, I can't do this to him. I just can't treat him like that. And that is exactly why I decided to research this topic, and why I am so passionate about teaching others about this topic. Every time that I come up to somebody, I explain the reasoning behind it. If you know me and you know me personally, I am always gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna show you why, and I'm gonna give you facts. If you like today's video, don't forget to give this a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much. Until next time.